All right, I'd like to call to order the Wednesday, March 4th, 2015 Board of Adjustment meeting. Roll call, please.
Stein? Here. Brenda Johnson?
Here.
Bill Johnson?
Here.
Shriver?
Here.
McGuire?
Here.
Schoenberger is absent. Lawrence?
Here.
Arnold?
Here.
Dolly is absent. Do we have a quorum?
First item on our agenda is the approval of the February 19th, 2015 minutes. I'd ask for motion in a second.
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
Motion by Mr. McGuire, second by Mr. Arnold. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Second item on the agenda is applicant Scott Munger for Midwest Business Condos seeks conditional use to operate a contractor shop and storage yard in a C3 highway commercial at 1101 17th Street Southeast.
Use of existing C3 zone properties from storage units to contractor shops and storage yards per 21-2803-13. Consists upon meeting the specific rules governing conditional uses included but not limited to 210202 2B 6A through H. They had a little bit of history on this thing. This was built, original building was 2003. Special leasing did storage buildings for 5 storage units and a heated office. 2004, specialty leasing did a storage building for an additional 3 more storage units. And then 2014, Brad and Jerry Schmeling did a plat for H&B Construction. Scott, Mr. Munger purchased this property and went to turn it into contractor shop because we found out at the time that all the rooms did have bathrooms in them, so they were contractor shops, even though the original permit were taken out as storage units. Well, when Scott came in and wanted to get addressing for it, we kind of shoved him into the cracks there and tried to make this legal. So he's just in here trying to make what's already been done in the past legal by today by now getting the conditional use for contractor shops to make this legal within its zoning district. So that's basically what we're getting down to. It's a listed use in the C3 Highway Commercial District. This board must consider satisfactory provisions and arrangements been made concerning the 2102 off-street light, parking, loading, landscape lighting, chapters 1 through 3. So if application was endorsed, the board may consider conditions of approval such as fulfillment of the boulevard infrastructure requirements and screening according to 216502. But
So on this, Ken, they've always had water and sewer, and that's the primary difference between a cold storage unit and a contractor shop. Contractor
Exactly.
shops have water and sewer, cold storage units don't. So the intent with this was when they built it, when we allowed water and sewer in there,
well, we didn't allow water and sewer. They built it as cold storage, and those things just appeared in mysteriously in the night, apparently.
I mean, you're not gonna put the sewer in under the, obviously the sewer was put in before the cement was laid.
I would assume that it would have had to been put in place at the time
Time of construction.
of construction. Yes.
So either A, they assumed that it was a contractor shop, or B, they did what they wanted anyway.
And back in 2003 and 4, I can't tell you how if the classification was as clear as we have it now, anyway. So
Correct. We might have changed that code a little to redefine it.
we certainly may have. I
But
didn't
since
research it that much.
2003, it's been used as a contractor shop.
Yeah. So this is just basically a bookkeeping thing to keep her all on up and up. And I appreciate Scott coming forward to do that for us.
And Scott, you can step up. You're not making any significant modifications to the building, I assume? I didn't see a building permit in there. For
No,
anything.
not at this time. You can see to the west side of this property, there's some land, and at this time there is a few semis. This area here, and we're going to add on to this building at some point. It'll be in the future, and we'll bring that back up at that time. And then when we do that, we're going to make this all hard surface out to the road. So we make one mess at one time. We're going to put this straight in line with everything else we've got.
Right.
We've done extensive remodeling in the units to get them to where they're supposed to be. But yes, I had no idea this was the case.
And the intent is it's being used as it's always been used?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, when I came, the plumbing and everything's in the concrete, so it was done right away. Like I said, when I got that letter from you guys, I was like, oh, that's interesting. So it wasn't done right.
And Ken,
originally.
that would be to the north of him there, am I correct? 109 17th, what business is that?
We got H&B Trucking here, and then the repair place, and what's the name of this one?
That Lakeland, it used to be Lakeland Motor Express or
And
whatever.
then, of course, just north of that, I'll back it out a little bit.
What's off to the left over there? Those are all,
This is the Ford.
Watertown
over
Ford.
here.
okay,
so-
gotcha.
Watertown Ford there.
Okay.
That's what.
Across the street from Watertown Ford.
And then the treatment plant, and of course, we're putting all of our condos, shops here lately.
Okay.
Was Active Towing, is that who was in that building for a while?
Well,
No.
Weeks, Andy Week was on the one end here.
Yeah. When I took the building over, the east side was Andy Wicks. He had been there for a number of years. Before that, I have no idea. Now there's several different tenants that are in there. There's 8 units in the current building, and we'll probably add on another 5 or 6.
And your intent is
There's,
when you get a building permit to add more on there, then you'll upgrade the surfacing.
Just like all our other units are.
Ken, the building permit, going back to the 2 different building permits, there was 8 units, 8 storage units, but there's actually 9 there, isn't there? 9 doors?
There was, we took, Andy Wicks actually, when he went in, he cleared out 3 walls and made one big unit. When we took it back, we repurposed it and did one larger unit and one smaller and made it into 8 total units.
So even with the 9 doors, it's 8 units.
Correct. One unit has
Okay.
2 overhead doors.
Okay. Ken, and this doesn't necessarily pertain to Scott, because it does have sewer and water, I understand, just found out. But when you go south, isn't that next block down in there, that area where we've approved cold storage, but there's no sewer and water within that area?
Right, well, there's sewer in this street, but there's no water from here to here, but there's water over here, so, these that we put in there, they have all hooked up to sewer here. And these 3 here actually brought a water line down here privately for that. But then as we get further south, that's why lately all the ones that have come into you, we do not have any sewer water
Yeah.
here or sewer water here.
There's several buildings in there that don't show on your map.
Yeah, right, yep, no, there's.
Quite a few,
here.
actually.
We should update Dennis a little bit. At our last meeting, we actually went in on this and said we would like it to plat it. We'd like the sewer put in, we'd like the street. We made a recommendation to the council, if I'm not correct, for that southern area down there. Did we? Yeah, I thought we did. It was an area where,
Well, we
because
talked
it,
about this a few months ago.
we did it
Like-
when, we did it at the last meeting where we said, you
last
know,
meeting again,
it's time to get that sewer, streets, all of that in. And because everything's so individually owned by legal description, not by lot, that
Right.
we were gonna try to, I guess you could say, force it to get those sewers in, because you're right, some of those buildings have at their own expense paid to get the sewer to them, but then the next guy doesn't care, so he's just cold storage, and the next guy may want it, but he can't get to it.
Well, Scott's buildings look nice, and he's already said he's gonna blacktop that area when he adds on to it and clean it up and whatever. But you get down that other area, it's all gravel. And I believe there's several
only
of those
making them put-
buildings that are contractor shops.
Yeah, we only make them put, the hard surfacing in front of the doors until the time the street goes in, and they've signed a waiver of right to every, so they will have to connect to that. And Scott's would trigger his to do that too, so anything with a trigger or new construction, we do make them do access into the building and the parking all has to be hard surface for everybody anymore, so.
Yeah. You go or west over to, what is it, 14th that comes by the theater and south? And those areas to the right, to the west over there, those are really nice. I was driving around there this morning, just looking. They've got hard surface. Looks like, well, Andy Wick is further west there now,
Yeah.
but.
And I
So in
would-
time, what you're saying, Pat, is you've already talked about that in this
Yeah.
area. So in time, it'll look the same as it does if you go west a little.
And I
longer.
think, if I'm correct, the stuff to the west, that was done the way we traditionally would do it today. They'd come in, they'd plat it, they'd have to put the streets in. This was done the old way, where we would postage stamp, they would sell a piece of property by legal description rather than by platting it.
Well, they only planted that big block and this big block, and so now we're having to go back in and.
And they sell each little spot, and that's what we triggered at our last meeting, was to try to get our arms around this area and get it done correctly retroactively, I guess you would say. We'll see how far it goes once it gets down there. Because you said there's a lot of those landowners would be much in favor of bringing everything up to speed, and some weren't.
Well, but that's why everyone that comes before you, we kind of have a triple thing. They want to do cold storage, contractor shop, and storage yards. So they don't have to come back and see you at the time the sewer and water does go in, then they will be able to actually have it a contractor shop. That's why it's been kind of multi-purpose every time, but they don't have it right now. And I'm talking about the ones that come back in over here and over here.
And this gives us just an opportunity to talk to it. Doesn't really have anything to do with what we're doing now, but
No.
Scott's used to getting drug into other stuff.
That's why if you don't want to see a whole bunch of these, you might consider, rezoning this area to I-1.
That's what I just said it. I said, is that, as it's developed, but we have it as C3 highway commercial, which really it isn't the type of businesses that are there to serve the commercial traveler. Maybe we do in the future look at it and go, does I-1 make better sense than C3 way down there, in case somebody wants to put a restaurant up down there. But anyone else have any other questions?
It was public notice and did go out, nobody's contacted us.
With that, I should open the public hearing. I think I forgot to open the public hearing.
Okay.
Anyone else have anything for the public? With that, I'll close the public hearing, ask for a motion and a second for further
I'll move
discussion.
to approve.
Motion by Mr. Arnold,
Second.
second by Mr. Lawrence. Any other discussion? I think for the record, normally we would ask for a waiver, a right to protest for the hard surfacing, boulevard, things like that. In this particular case, he's not coming in for a building permit. He's just coming in to do what's right. I do think we let him know that when he comes in for a building permit, as he stated, he doesn't foresee any issues with that. But just to be fair to everyone else we do it with, at the time of a building permit, we might ask for a little more, but I don't think it's fair to ask for any more right now. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Any old business? No old business, Ken?
No, nothing else.
Ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Lawrence,
Second.
second by Mr. Johnson. All in favor, say aye. Motion carries.
Oh, no.